Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Level Sheriff here once again, and today we're going to be reading more into the backstories of some of the killers. We did part 1 just a couple of days ago, so now we're going to do part 2 today. So today we're going to be looking at the nurse and reading more into her backstory. So let's jump right into it. So the nurse's backstory is Sally Smithson came to town with dreams of children's feet and laughter in a wooden home built by her husband Andrew. And one day Andrew's foreman had to pay Sally a visit, forever changing her life. With no other option, Sally had to find a way, but the only employment she could get was at the Crotus Pren Asylum. She started at the bottom, doing the hard night shift. Over the years, her mind had reached its limits. Decades of seeing horrid things that violate the eyes. Finally, she could not take it anymore, and concepts of purification emerged inside her. As the morning staff arrived one day in September, they found over 50 patients dead in their beds, and 4 staff members also dead. Only Sally had survived the night, but her mind was gone, rocking back and forth non-stop. They got her into an ambulance, but that ambulance never reached the hospital. It was found crashed in a nearby wood, all the staff dead, and Sally nowhere to be found. Right, moving on to our next killer is the Huntress. This is a very fun killer, able to throw hatchets around the place, and getting some good shots, especially at long distances, is very satisfying. Alright, let's get into her story. So, as soon as Anna was able to walk, her mother started teaching her how to survive a harsh, solitary life in the northern woods. Living in such an extremely remote and dangerous area required skill and resilience. When sunlight became too dim for productive activities, they would take refuge in their house, a sturdy old cabin constructed to resist the toughest winters. Close to heart's warmth, Anna would rest in her mother's arms, surrounded by the few wooden toys and masks she had crafted for her. Drifting off to sleep with stories and lullabies, she dreamt happy dreams, ignorant of the events that would soon change everything. Anna and her mother were stalking a great elk through the woods. They knew it was dangerous prey, but it had been a particularly difficult winter, and they were almost out of food. The spectre of starvation frightened them more than any forest creature. Without warning, the elk reared, bellowed, and charged at Anna. She was paralyzed with fear as the whole world seemed to shake under the immense beast's pounding hooves. The elk was close enough for Anna to see the murderous fury in its eyes when her mother threw herself in its path, axe in hand. A blood-curdling scream escaped from her lips as the elk impaled her upon its antlers and hoisted her into the air. With all her strength, she brought her axe down on its head again and again while it tried to shake her loose. With a sickening crack, the antlers snapped and Anna's mother was free. The beast collapsed. Anna was too small to move her mother's broken body, so she sat with her in the clearing where she had fallen. To distract her from the dying elk's cries, Anna's mother held her and hummed her favourite lullaby. They stayed like that, the huntress and the elk getting quieter and colder, until Anna was alone in the silent forest. Eventually she stood up and started the long walk back home. Still a child, she knew just enough about life in the frozen forest to survive. She followed her instincts and became one with the wild. She got older and stronger and practiced her hunt. As she grew into a dangerous predator, her humanity became a half-remembered dream. She widened her territory and lived off her hunts. She worked her way up through squirrels and hares and mink and foxes. Eventually she grew tired of them and hunted more dangerous animals like wolves and bears. When unsuspecting travellers came through her woods, she discovered her new favourite prey, humans. Unlucky souls who strayed into her territory were slaughtered like any other animal. She liked to collect their tools and colourful garments, and especially toys when there were little ones. But she could never bring herself to kill the little girls. Girls she would take back to her house deep in the woods. They were precious, and looking at them woke up something deep in her heart. She craved the closeness of a loved one, a child of her own. Among the pillaged wooden toys, dolls, and storybooks she couldn't read, the girls would be tied by the neck with a rough and chafing rope fastened firmly to the wall. She couldn't let them wander off, or they would surely die outside. Every time the girls would waste away and die of cold or starvation or sickness. Every time it plunged Anna deeper into pain and sorrow and madness. She was compelled to try again and started raiding the nearest villages to slaughter families and kidnap their daughters. She wore one of the animal masks her mother crafted for her so many years earlier to try and calm the frightened children. Villagers spread the legend of a half-beast lurking in Red Forest, the huntress who killed men and ate little girls. War eventually came to the forest. German soldiers began to pass through on the march to attack the collapsing Russian Empire. During these dark times there were no more travellers. The villagers had abandoned their homes, and no more little ones to be found, only soldiers. Many of them were found with violent axe wounds. Whole groups disappeared mysteriously. Once the war was over, the rumours of the huntress disappeared with it, engulfed by the Red Forest. Right, moving on to our next killer. We're going to do another one because I believe with our next killer, who is the Shape, his story is pretty short, so we'll just jump right into it and do him as well. Right, let's jump into it. Some humans are simply bad seeds infused with a distilled and pure form of evil. Michael Myers is one of those seeds. He had no issues with causing them the pain of others. Instead, it was exactly what he sought. But even life can be tough on those with minds filled with terror. The difference is just how one goes about to solve those problems. For Michael had to kill to find some inner peace. As he took his sister's life, the police found a silent boy dressed as a clown at the scene. When one stumbles upon a growing fire, one does not pour gasoline on it. But this was an action taken by officials that had no idea how it would shape this demon in the boy's body. Sending Michael to a mental institution was a feeble attempt to save the child. Unsuccessful therapy and nightly screams just made him even more introvert and deranged. People hoped that Michael Myers would end up a parenthesis, soon to be forgotten and buried, a failure that was soon to rot away. But then, he escaped. Well, that's all for today. And next time we'll be looking at more of the killers, hopefully another 4, maybe 5 if I get the chance. But yeah, I hope you like these videos, and if you leave a like, maybe even subscribe, that would be awesome. Again, I'll be doing a lot of these videos, so yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. Bye.